All right, this is week 12. Those of you that are online right now, tonight we're going to be doing the updating dice game. We're going to look at actually a lot of games and let you modify and create some games of your own this week. Also, you begin working on your final website as well. Make sure that you carve out time for your final app. I want to give you kind of a guideline here. If you go into the modules for the course and go to Final App Resources, kind of gives some guidelines as far as due dates that we've been going over this semester. Hopefully begin testing soon with family and friends. If you're not at that level, I'd say suggest probably devoting at least 5 to 10 hours a week on your app to get it where you need it to be. Then you're going to complete the website on GitHub or Weebly for your website app. And then on the 29th, you could upload your code to GitHub. And then finally on May 6th, presentation. Your app should meet a real world need in your life or in business life, either one. Comment throughout the code what the app is doing. If you do use input throughout your app, make sure you do validation, at least 3 functions, and then create a web page through GitHub. And here's a sample one that I have out there. Nothing real fancy, but just describes the website or the app, what the app entails. And you could also put in here a link to the app as well for folks to run. There's a screencast here on how to create a web page. Avail yourself to that with GitHub. And then uploading your code, steps of how to do that. You can just drag and drop your files into the GitHub repository. And I'll just real quickly show you that. I've had a few students ask about that. You don't really need to download the client for GitHub, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a repository here. I'm going to call it CIS277 final app SP19. Always check box this repository, README, leave it public, and create repository. So to upload your app to this location here, once you create your replit or your repo, it's as simply as clicking the upload files button here, and then you drag and drop your files into this section right here where my mouse is hovering over. If you drag and drop your files, including folders, it will include the folders. So let me just grab a folder here to show you what I'm talking about. So So I'll pretend that this is your files for your app. Click and drag it into and release. And you'll notice it included the folder and all the files in the folder. I'll commit the changes. And it takes a few moments for those changes to be saved, but you can see the folder, the SRC folder, and the files. If I was to go into the main repo and go to commits, I would see the file I just uploaded. There's the initial one, and there's the files that were uploaded, where it says add files via upload. So that's how you create the your code. Now, if you're in Replit and you're wanting to bring it into GitHub, let me show you that real quick. So if you get any Replit, I'll use this send Python email one. Say that you were done with your app and you're wanting to download it for uploading to GitHub. You can just click this little ellipsis area here. There's 3 little buttons in Replit. Download as a zip, and it's going to go to your downloads folder on your computer. And it's going to download it into that environment. Once you download it, then you'll be able to upload it. And so download it as a zip. Again, and mine extracted it automatically because I just have the main.py in there. But there's a main.py that was downloaded. I can upload that then to my Replit account or my GitHub account if I wanted to once I was done. So that's how to upload it, download it into Replit and upload it into GitHub. Going on, we'll look at some of the example games this semester. And I notice some are talking about your progress. Good, Ryan. Yeah, keeping something simple is fine, Ryan. I think that's important to note. Don't feel bad if you kept it simple. I think it's a good thing. You can always build upon that after you leave the class. And so something you can definitely bite off and add more to it. So make sure you've done the check-in, by the way, before I forget. There is points to the check-in. Make sure you've done that, 20 points. Final app resources, went over that. App journal. Been reading your journals. Good job on posting your progress. Whether a little progress or a lot of progress, that's okay. Just let me know what your progress is. When you work on something on your app, just post a sentence or two on what you completed or what you have challenges with or successes. There will be times in every app that you ever create in your life or have created where you'll get to a stuck point to where you don't know what to do, or you're debugging it and things aren't working. That's a good thing, because every app I've ever worked on in my 30 plus years of programming has had to that point of, what I'm just discussing, that frustration point. That's a good thing, though. The best suggestion I can give you: walk away from it, do something else. If you're at a game, do some gaming, do a walk, whatever it is, get your stress out. And what I found out is while you're doing other things, ideas will pop in your head. An example I'll give you recently: I was working on an app that this one page of the app, its job was to bring in data and load it into kind of a pivot table. If those of you familiar with pivot tables, but I had to create my own pivot table. And basically what it was, it looked like an Excel spreadsheet with each cell having about 5 buttons per cell. And long story short, what I was doing was loading from the database into these cells criteria about that record, because each cell basically was the content of a person out in the field doing maintenance. It was in a row for that week. And so say their name was John Smith, and they had the week of, say this week, which would be Sunday, April 7th, and say he had went into a place in Ohio. You would have in there Ohio, the name of the company. It would have the project ID. You would have in there a description of what he was doing, about 5 or 6 different facts. And when I first initially created this page, I had some dummy text in there just to get it to where I want it to look like. Well, what I did was the dummy text I had in there, the dummy logic was I had in there set, I believe it was 10 reps, 10 field reps on the left side. It would have field rep 1 through field rep 10. Well, the reps in the table actually had 17 reps. So instead of updating my code to determine the count of those records by the count of how many were in the actual record, I left the 10 in there. And so when I was looping the data, it was crashing because it had more data than what I had loops for. And so it was crashing and not fulfilling what I needed to do. So anyway, I got away from it for a bit and thought and remembered, oh, by the way, I hard coded that count in. Once I went back and replaced it this morning with the actual data count, it worked perfectly. So that's an example of getting away from your app, coming back. So submit to me what you've worked on, submit to me what challenge you've had. And then, a couple times a week, whenever you work on your app, basically just make it a habit to log into Seesaw and make your update. Okay. And so again, I've been looking at these and really good documentation and what you guys are working on. And really just a little quick blurb is really what I'm looking for. We're looking at chapter 17 and make sure and do your reading for that. You review questions for 17. And discussion for 17. Now let's get into the games. These are not exhaustive at all. This is just some example games that we're going to look at. And we'll start with the blackjack finished game. And basically the way this works is it's going to ask a few questions like in blackjack. You have a dealer and you've got the house and you've got the player. And so first choice, the player's 20, house is 19. Do I want to hit or do I want to stay? Well, I'm already at 20. And so I'm guessing the smart thing to do for me would be to stay. So I'm going to go ahead and type in stay. You're at 20, the house at 19. Would you like to play again? Yes. So that means I won that one. Forgot to put in number 1, sorry. All right, so I'm at 9. The house is at 9. What do you guys think? Should I play or stay, or hit or stay? What do you think? Go ahead and make a comment in the chat here and tell me what you think. All right, Brendan says hit, so I'm doing it. I agree, Baron. That's what I would do anyway. All right, so I'm at 18. The house is at 9. Should I hit or stay? Hit or stay? I'm at 18. House is at 9. Hit that mama jama. I like it. Like Ryan's attitude. All right, we're going to do it. Oh, well. So you get the point here. I'm going to do no and exit out of this. Or 2, sorry. Exit out of it. All right, so that's the first one. Next is Happy Codings, C++. Whole bunch of different example games here to help you, just to play around with. Different ones that you can randomly choose. Everything from tic-tac-toe to playing piano, saving an output in C piano.txt, puzzle game, tic-tac-toe and C++. We'll do that one. And the way this one works is it gives you the code that you can actually bring into the Replit environment and play around with it and manipulate it however you want to do it. All right, next is this rock, paper, scissors. And so this one just has a function called game function that gives some choices for rock, paper, scissors, quit. And then a case logic, if choice case logic. And then output randomization for win or lose, computer choice, user choice, and replay option. So let's go ahead and play this. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to go with rock. I chose rock. Computer chose rock. Tied. You want to play again? Yes. I'll do scissors this time. They chose rock. I lost. I'm going to play again. Yes. All right, somebody tell me what I should choose here. Yeah, Ryan, I know the house always wins. That's right. So go ahead and tell me what I should put in here. You want rock, paper, scissors? One of the 3. Let me know and I'll put it in. Rock. All right, let's do it. Ahmad says rock, and I'm going to... Whoop, helps to put the right number in. Let's run it again. All right. Ooh, I lost. I'm going to do it again. I'll choose rock again. I won that time. Yay. All right, so that's the rock, paper, scissors. Then the C-Concal colored text to terminal. This one you have to play in a new, in Replit. You have to hit this little link here to play it in a new screen. All right, and basically it says it's red text, but it's not because of the RGB here, which is blue. And so I can change this to red. There we go. And by the way, it'll play both. Sometimes you have to hit this this button here, a new tab, because you will get some weird stuff over here. So there's red. Let's see. Yellow is not available. It's the only primary colors. So it's red, blue. Let's go with green. There we go. And so you get the drift. And so this is using the color modifier to do it, just to show you how you can do the color. Different files in here. You've got a color.h, which goes over the different enum values for each one of the enum colors, red, green, blue colors. You got background and foreground, both. And so value yourself to that one. Exit out of that, exit out of that, exit out of that, exit out of that. And then the last one here is Tetris. This I'm going to go into larger screen just because it looks better. Actually, if I can get it to play here, let's go ahead and run it this way. There we go. And this way it works is you're going to up and down center. And the way it works on this one is you're actually using the left to right, up and down, last one to block the center. And notice it keeps piling on until it's over. All right. As far as your output here, it's going to, again, give it some editing, possibly to make it longer if you wanted to. But it uses vectors and blocks to create the vectors throughout the code, and it does a free fall as well throughout it. And pretty cool game, and definitely can do some editing with it to get it to function the way you want it to. That one. So there's some examples, just a few, not many, give you a couple to play with. So the final app resources is, we already went over this. Shouldn't have to go over that again. At the bottom, I did not mention, at the bottom of this is other links to games. If you click on this one here, the week 12 toying costs, these are the ones created by spring 2008 students that we'll look at in a second, or that you can look at. And then I'll bring up a few here, like maybe Josh Garrity's. All right, and so this is what you guys will be doing this week. So I'll go ahead and do a tails. It's flipping, deciding. Nope. Yes, I'll play again. This time I'll do tails again. Nope. I'm going to stick with tails one more time. Nope. Let's try tails or heads. Nope. Tails. Yay, finally got it. And so the way he did it on this one is he did the game has a function called RPS game. It sets a random time for the SRAN value. Has a few variables to start out, online 14, 15, and 16, a pretty long sleep, and then goes into the actual meat of the app that tells the user to pick the rock, paper, scissors, or the pick heads or tails, or scissors. Then that's actually the fourth one. This is the one he did. The end game is what he done. NHT game. That's the one he chose on that one. And that's probably chose here. Yeah, in the main is where he updated that. So he has some code in there that he's not using. Cool. So you can look at Josh and the other ones that have created their games from last semester. Next, Seesaw app, talked about that already. What did you complete on your app? And it's going in the wrong place here. So let me go back to the module because it's jumping to week 13. All right, so let's go here to the current week, which is 12 assignment, this one right here. All right, so 12 assignment, we'll go to that real quick. And let's go down to week 12, heads or tails. All right, so the objective on this one is to make whatever changes you want to the simple heads or tails game. Example, you can keep a tally of how many heads and tails have been selected throughout the game. You could add a random message instead of just the, win, lose. You could do different ones for correct and incorrect flips. You get the idea. So output example, like I play for Josh's, 1 or 2, flipping while it's waiting, incorrect, try again. 2, Y, 2, flipping, incorrect, try again. And then finally at the end saying goodbye. So the basic app, the way it runs here, gives you all the logic you need for the app to run, but you're going to add more to it basically just to play around with it. So I'll go ahead and do on this one, heads. Right? And incorrect. Flip results 2. I'm on number 2. I'll go and do Y again. And let's do tails this time. Flipping. Incorrect. Let's try one more time here. Well, I'm going to keep trying until I win. Incorrect. And finally got one. Now the logic for the randomization here, whenever it's going to the randomization line here, it's random and using a random method. The module overload of modulus 2 plus 1, and so it's either going to be a 1 or 2, basically, for the computer flip. And so once you choose heads or tails, then it's going to basically look at to see, okay, did your answer match the answer that the computer chose? If it didn't, you lose. If you did, you win. All right? That's basically all it is. And this line of code here basically is, again, going to give you a randomization of 1 or 2 at all times. So by looking at the students' examples from last year, you can look and see what others did. I didn't play with Paul Stanik's. See what he did on his. We'll do 2. Oh, he gives a running tally, it looks like here. So at the end, notice we give heads or tails, successes, failures, accuracy. So we'll play a couple on his to see what we get. So we'll do 1. Yeah, I'll play again. This time we'll do 2. All right, you guys tell me what I want to do on this one. Do I want to do a heads or tails? Ryan, the color affect performance in any way? It's going to minutely affect performance, I believe, to run the app. Once the app's running, you're fine. But running it will take a bit longer just to load the colors on the screen. Good question. So what do you want me to do? Heads or tails here? We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll see what the tally is. So heads, all right. So we got heads, and then some, yep, Ahmad said heads. Anybody else? Next one. Should I do heads or tails on this? And then we'll end after this one to see the tally, which I think the computers won most of these. All right, so heads again. Oh. Correct, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. All right, the tally was results, heads, 3 tails. Well, I chose on that. It looks like, yeah, let's see here. I did 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 heads and 1 tails. Yep, or 3 tails and 1 head. Yeah, 3 tails and 1 head. So it gets 1 head, 3 tails, what I chose, 0 successes, and 4 failures, 0% accuracy. So that's what Paul did on his. So just some ideas you can look at from other students' perspectives. So once you get finished with it, say done below when you're finished, as always, on the week 12. And recapping here as far as from here on, starting actually after you create your game and modify the dice game, which shouldn't take too long on however you want to modify it. Don't spend a lot of time on it because I want you to really start working on and continue working on your final app this week and seeing what you can get done. Next week and the week following, attendance is optional. For both 13 and 14, I will be online the entire time to help anybody that needs it. And so you can use the chat module within the course. In fact, I'll make it front and center on this page, on the home page, where you can just click on it and ask any question you might have. If you need code snippets beyond the examples that you were given in the class for whatever help you're needing, please let me know. Shoot me an email on the idea you have and maybe some logic you need help with. Be more than glad to fire back some examples to help you. But don't wait. Let me know now. That way I can gather the information and type up the code and send to you. Week 15, after 2 weeks of optional attendance, and that's just basically so you can just spend time working on the app versus coming to class or versus logging in online like we're doing tonight. So next week following, week 13 and 14, working on the app. Each one of these weeks, by the way, when you go into just like week 12, we'll have in it a module for your app journal. So make sure and note that you will do the app journal. Where it says live podcasting on 13 and 14, I will replace that with live chat for 13 and 14. Won't really have a podcast. I'll just have a live chat for you guys to click on to ask for help or whatever. And then week 15 is mandatory class. We will be doing a checklist on that one. So I will need everybody to come to class, and I'll just walk around and look at your app and see that these checks are coming along. If you don't have it 100% done yet, that's fine. But that's the whole purpose of doing the checklist. And then everyone will present on the final week, week 16. All of your hard work will be created and uploaded and put in GitHub. Also, one of the things I'm going to have you do, I started doing this last semester, is having you creating a screencast, if you want to, of your app. That way you could create a little, 5-minute screencast of here's how the app works, yada, yada, yada. You don't have to do that because in the classroom, I'll be asking these questions 1 through 5, describing the concept, audience, challenges, successes, what you would do if you have more time, and demoing the app in the class. I'll just go through one by one in the classroom and have you just demo it for the students, and you will basically come up to the instructor station and demo it and tell folks how it works and all the good stuff. And not looking for perfection on this, by the way. I'm looking for a prototype level. Now, I want as much as possible for everything to work, but there's going to be instances where things maybe don't work, and that's fine. You're not going to be graded down on that, by the way. What I would like you to focus on between now and then, though, is if you know there's something you're working on that you know you're not going to have time to complete by week 16 at all, you know for sure not going to happen, just take that out of the logic at all right now. Don't work on it anymore. Work on what you do have to really make it look better and function better, if that makes sense. And that could basically be your version 1 of the app. And then once you get that all looking good, then maybe after the class is over, you can work on version 2. And the beauty of what you're doing here is, you're limited in C++, and I get it, but you can take the logic of what you've done and apply it to a web app, an iOS app, an Android app. And if you've not taken those classes, you can definitely take those to learn those skills, how to do it. We've got folks that are in our class now, like Jody, that's taken that information and he's developing an app and working on selling it. And so it is possible for you to do that. It's not impossible. Is it hard work? Jody will attest to you. It is hard work, but you can definitely keep working on it and take it to other levels that are beyond the class, if that makes sense. So work on your app this week, get the Dice app done or the Flip app updated and add some logic to it to put your touch on it for the Dice game. Submit it and then immediately start working on your final app or continue working on your final app. Sound good? Any questions? Will you take an Android app as a final project? Good question. I would say no at this point. Um, I know you probably have their logic in C++ already. That will take it to the next level, which I just talked about. Um, put it in C++. That way, granted, you're not going to probably have the GUI interface that you want, the drag and drop or whatever logic you're wanting in Android. But if you could create in C++ a mod, that'd be awesome. And then I would definitely encourage you, though, in tandem with your C++ app, develop your Android. Now, if you wanted in the class that night to show, here's my dumbed down C++ app of what we need for this class. Here's what I'm working on uh, in next level for the Android app. So you can definitely do that. That would be fine to do that. And I would recommend that. That way, whatever you're putting in the C++ app, you're also putting that in your Android app. Does that make sense? All right, cool. All right, so that's it for the night. Have fun with the Dice app, but don't spend too much time on it. Look at the other apps the students did last year to give you some ideas on what they did. Adding a menu, adding the score screen, whatever. And then one student, I think, did one where you entered your name in, you did high scores and all that good stuff. So however you want to do it, just don't spend tons of time on it. I'd rather you devote bulk of this week to working on your final app. And again, if you have any questions or need a code snippet, uh, email me, let me know. I'll be more glad to help you. But otherwise, I will see everybody online next week in the chat module if you need help. And in the chat module, by the way, you're not required next 2 weeks to join and say anything. It'll only be there if you need help or you have a question, okay? And so I'm not going to require you to join in. The check-in the next 2 weeks are not going to be required either. But what will be required is your Seesaw app journal. Those will definitely be required. Sound good? All right. Well, that's it for week 12. And thanks for joining and have fun with your app this week. And again, email me if you have any questions. And I will see you online next week, maybe. Or otherwise, just keep working and maybe see an email from me on any questions you might have. Did want to make one note, though, about announcement. Fall 2019 opened up registration Sunday night at 9 p.m. I still have some spots for my IoT class if you're interested. It's 4 Saturdays in May, summer 1. You will take home 4 projects, no textbooks, no projects cost whatsoever. It is a Saturday, I realize, but check-ins from 7:30 to 8. We actually won't start till 8, and we will be done by noon. Okay, and you'll be going home by noon. And when you go home at noon each Saturday, you will be taking home a completed project that you've completed in IoT. And that app website for IoT is rvcapp.iot, or I'm sorry, rvciot.app is the website. And you can go there to find out more information. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, but I'd love to get that class full. I still got a number of seats to fill, and so love to have you. So that's it for me this week. We'll have a great week, get a lot done in your final lap, and we'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.